Friends, hi, sorry about the 7-second delay there. I'm Nick Tockert, and this is the Historical Fencing Guild's live stream, January 1st, 2021. Guys, before we get into 2020, many of us didn't, but those of us who did are here, singed but unscathed, striding triumphantly into the next set of leftover disasters. Now, the Historical Fencing Guild and this lovely channel is brought to you by my works, including The Simple Sword by Nicholas Tockert. This is available through Amazon at www.amazon.com/author/Nicholas Tockert. And you'll find things like The Simple Sword, the easiest, fastest, simplest way to learn how to kill your friends for fun and profit. We also are brought to you by the Big Stompy Robots line of books and games. With more expansions coming, robots are both big and stompy. Yeah, guys, I see some people trickling in. I know. Nick, you said you weren't going to go live this week. You said you feared for your life from your wife. I did, till a little miscommunication was wrapped up. She thought I was going to be doing this New Year's Eve, which would have gotten me disemboweled, flayed, and my various viscera turned into furniture. However, that is not the case. So, as it's New Year's Day, with a bit of, a vengeance, what did I do today? I napped, because I was up till 7-something, making sure that 2020 actually went out the door, around the block, got on the highway, and is gone, So, what's up? Well, I do have some Christmassy news in that I got some presents that I wanted to talk about. And it's like, okay, I now have, let me put this card from Highland Titles. The little titles. I am apparently, according to this little card, a Scottish lord. Now, I'm not, is the owner of land in Glencoe of Glencoe and Swakhammer. Now, this means precisely Bupkis actually get me, but gosh darn if it isn't cool. And I have a preserve, and it's actually, my net is really bad today. I'm doing the net dance, so we're gonna try and do it. I doubt that we're having some glitchy problems, but and so does my wife. So that's really cool. 2 of my aliases, I suppose some people call them names, titles. And I have to put this card back, and I will find the other card later. But I thought that was just beyond snazzy. That's probably one of the coolest gifts I've ever received. Now, because we have an ice storm going on, so I don't know if you guys are being able to see or hear me real well, but we're going to get through it. So yes, Lord Nicholas Tockert II. And my title lands and my wife's, which I believe are adjacent, will be inherited by my son. So that is cool. I'm actually very excited about that. Now, before we get going on our usual stuff, I do need to take and stop and thank some people. Because of 2020, I lost several patrons who, because of guys, I want to thank you. It's amazing that you did that, and you've not been forgotten by Steve again. Okay, so I want to thank Steve Augosto, because he was my first patron, and through everything, he's been there. I want to thank cheerleader Brian K. Morris, who literally, meeting Brian K. Morris changed my life. He's helped me as an author. He's helped me as a promoter, as a friend. What everything else was going to heck, he brought us masks. I'm never going to forget that. And is So I'm going by her, rose up to help. I also want to huge thank you to John Miner and Steve Clausen, who were able to come out and who are supporters, paid support thing whenever, because there's really cool stuff coming out of Swakhammer Metals as this lovely Lydia. What are you doing in there? Lydia was trying to make off with my lovely boar spear. Okay, so thank you, Steve. I'm thanking for things that are coming almost more than have. He's been a good friend and he's helped me, and there's some great stuff coming, hopefully in 2021. We have a lot here. I toast caffeinated, mind you. Only barely. To the millennium. You know what? I'm going to go all out on the channel. Well, guys, I have big reviews, big surprises, a lot of stuff in the works that are coming out this year. This is going to be a real hands. And to those of you who notice, yes, I am moving better. I've spent the entire last few weeks doing exercises and learning better ways. I'm on, so I'm working to build things better for me so that when I can have people, I can be better for them. So there's going to be a lot of physical changes. You may notice in my years, being married 20 years and surviving 2020. Well, being married 18 years. I got married in 2002. So, but together, 20 years of knowing my wife and being tied to her got me this. Well, we'll say that. This half came in when I was 15, but, that was a fun year. Anyway, we have some product reviews. This is definitely going to be the year of product reviews. I put them off. I'm going to be doing huge, just piles of product reviews, including what's in this little box. So I will be doing a formal review of this little knife by Smith & Wesson that was given to me for Christmas by the amazing Stef Mari, who she's got plans too. And I love the fact, guys, I don't work with people I don't like, okay? I'm not sitting here saying, game, shady stories. Yes, game shady stories is on every single bit to say I like them. But she sent me this. And this is the unboxing, if you want to call it that. I already popped it because, Christmas, guys. But this is a nice little dagger by Smith & Wesson. So I will do a full review on this in a separate video. Pros and cons. I have no idea of the cost. I'll probably have to look it up, which normally I wouldn't do because I consider that gouache. I also have Stephanie, when you are established, address, because I have to send you a penny. It's just a tradition of mine. I'll explain it one of these days. If people, if folks are interested in why I'm talking about sending Steph a penny, I'll hit it in the comments. I'll hit it up in another video because I found people enjoy my unique take on superstitions and stuff, and my assortment of Fey-like rules. Interesting knife. I want to talk about it, but that's for the next video later this week. That I've used for years that I haven't done formal reviews on. And a lot of them are by Cold Steel. They were donated by people like Jim Robertson, who you guys know, and Steve Clausen, who you guys know, and a few others. So I'm going to basically go through my collection, organize, do formal videos for all of it. That means a lot of useful content coming to you, my faithful viewers. You'll also notice that, yes, the tarp Augosto is still up, and it is still held up by length of acquired twisty ties. This bare minimum will be changing very soon. I will in the next few weeks be completely renovating my studio / study / work area / I get stuff done here, so that I'm not under a constant pile of poorly aligned weapons and game parts and airsoft guns and trainers and musical instruments. And yeah, I live in a realm of utter chaos. It's the gnome in me, guys. It just happens. But we're gonna be fixing that in 2021. Also, I want to get the at least the ebook version of The Axe out in 2021, with the understanding it may take me all year around my other projects and these rather deranged, electrically spastic meat hooks that I call hands to get stuff done. And no, I'm not on anything more exciting than naproxen sodium. I believe that's Aleve or ibuprofen, who is an old and dear friend to all fighters everywhere. And caffeine, because caffeine is the nectar of life. No, I'm really in the mood for some coffee, but I'd have to make that right now, and I don't want to deal with hot liquids whilst I'm dealing with you guys. Oh, caveat: because of my hand spasms, occasionally my fingers don't move right. I am not at any point attempting to flick off the camera, unless I am, at which point, trust me, everyone would know. It would be a double-fisted presentation in proper Carlian form. Carl being the name of a very specific fictional monkey. Now, first, whoever is watching this video, because I have a little tell, I really do appreciate you guys hanging out and watching. If you're enjoying, but if not, seriously, I'm all about the comments. Ha! And they're gone. Hit the comments. I'm all about communicating. So we're gonna dial it down a bit. We're gonna breathe. We're gonna talk. You, me, the wall, Lydia. Anyhow, one of these days, I'm gonna say Lydia hard enough that Lydia's gonna turn into Holland Road, and I'm gonna get in trouble with my wife. Not that I'm gonna do anything. I'm just gonna get in trouble with my wife. Although I think she's more. What that means? Know what that means? But guys, we gotta talk. The date has changed the situation only by our belief. Now, belief is a powerful, formidable force of this world that bends, shapes, and crafts everything around us. We are the paragon of animals in that we can envision such wonders, and then through willpower, wit, and tool use shape the world around us to meet our things and occasionally reshape ourselves. But we are enduring this little pandemic thing. And as long as we are enduring it, let's be smart. This is the time of year where everybody normally goes, I'm gonna New Year's Eve resolution, but really is a revolution because you just keep coming back to the same problems because we're approaching it the same way. So I'm going to be going into more and more about self-training, self-discipline, motivation, how to get informed when you don't have people around you, and how to manufacture the tools as I am prone to out of whatever materials you happen to have on hand, in hand, or acquirable. Because as much as I love the art of Western martial arts and the art of defense, I do not love the cost that they put on our gear. And the fact that a lot of it just isn't adequate for our needs. It is getting better. Companies like Purple Heart Armory are really working to bring us out of the literal dark ages in our equipment. Because I am not an authenticity Nazi. I never have been. I believe, this is why I like the creative side of the Society of Creative Anachronism, that we should do what they would do with what we have. This is why I have fought in motorcycle armor and ballistic nylon and body armor designed to be plate carriers. Thank you for the like, folks. And this is why we have options. Howdy, Joe! This is so awesome because dear friend Joe Dog McKeel is actually crashing my show for a change instead of me harassing his lovely Stupid O'Clock shows, which are, I always get the dates wrong. It's Thursday night is the early night, 8 o'clock, and then Saturday night is 11, and then the other show, and then the other show, if I remember right, over at the HoloCon. I am so, guys, once we get the shots and we can get past the danger bug, I am so looking forward to a certain set of adventures, and I really, my wife and I are talking, we really want to try to go down to an event called HoloCon in, I believe, Chattanooga, Tennessee. And that, if we can make it, that's going to be just, the cat's me out, because I know some amazing people that I get to chat with on weekends via this lovely interwebs. But I got digressed. Great to see you, Joe. While we're talking, we got to talk a lot. We've got things. And one thing I want to get into, because I've got somebody here. It's been a while since the end of The Mandalorian Season 2. And I want to talk about The Mandalorian as a film, genre. Oh, close. Dalton, Georgia, about 20 miles south of Chattanooga. Okay. Awesome. So apparently HoloCon is in Dalton, Georgia. And that's cool too, because I have adventures planned. Like next year is all about, as soon as that 2020, which I think everyone will admit was about 5.5 to 10 years long, had ended numerically. Now, this is not going to solve all our problems. It really won't. Sorry, but it is an opportunity to change them. And I do say, whatever. We are at a different point in the cycle, and we've all grown. Those of us who had shot through this misery have endured, and some of us even prospered despite the setbacks. And that's what I'm about. Literally about helping people adapt to unpleasant situations to follow their dreams. So, distraction aside, back to The Mandalorian. I was watching some of the fights from The Mandalorian again, and I've enjoyed them immensely. And there's been a lot of flack because they're not as energetic, not as heavy wire foo as both the earlier Star Wars, the cinematic ones post the original trilogy, and certainly not the dramatic rule of cool stuff you find in either rendition of the Clone Wars. The fights just aren't. And when you hit the end of Rebels, toward the end of Rebels, there is a fight. It's I think the episode is called Two Suns or Planet with Two Suns or something like that. But basically, it is the final Obi-Wan Darth Maul fight. And of all the battles I've seen in Star Wars, that is still my favorite. And the reason it's my favorite is because they fought like old men. They fought like experienced, educated, grounded, efficient professionals. There was a layer of subtlety in move and counter move. And a lot of people won't even admit there's move and counter move. If you don't really pay attention, you don't even know what you see. It's my favorite fight real close with the one in Hero, the Jet Li flick, where it turns out the whole fight was in their mind, and they just went, "Yeah, I can't beat you," and they both understood what happened. It's weird, but when you're fighting somebody who's really, when you're on that link, you can get into a place where you guys can square off, subtly move, counter move the body weights, the foot shifting, and figure, holy smokes, we both know how this fight's going to turn out before it happens. Sherlock, the Robert Downey Jr. one, took a lot of flack, although it's one of the best examples of the calculating mind of someone who is a trained study both in martial combat and the human condition, the analysis of your opponents. Now, what does this have to go with Star Wars? Star Wars receives some critique because almost all the fights and all the even lightsaber action was very grounded. And I think they did it for two distinct reasons. One, the vast majority of the combatants were older. You have to understand the timeline of The Mandalorian is post the original trilogy. Most of these characters, I mean, Boba Fett's getting up there. And I was so glad to see somebody with a little bit of a dad bod kicking butt and taking names. I think The Mandalorian might be the most body positive program I have seen in years for something with a level of action outside of like martial law. But the fights were restrained and believable, and almost sedate. There was a lot of suspense in the storyline. A lot of the people who watch my channel are writers, and understanding that there are fights that happen that are rule of cool, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love the rules of cool. And there are fights that happen that are brutal and gritty, and they're anxiety riding, and they could the impact crunch kind of feel reverberates, and those are cool too. But these very often were fights of calculation. These were people who lacked the duelists. This wasn't a swish and parry pretty fight. The Outer Rim, and it leads its way up to the final episode. And when you see you know who come through doing you know what, even in that, and I'm going to say spoilers for the people who haven't seen or been spoiled, although I highly doubt if you're a Star Wars fan you haven't been by now, that Luke shows up. And my net just crashes. Come on, okay. Luke shows up. And I remember being really confused. I watched it and I'm like, once I was expecting Ezra Bridger. But it's Red 5. I know that bird. And then, hooded black figure. Okay, we still have options. This could be good. Green lightsaber? Glove on what right hand? Bear on the left? Wait a second. This is impossible. And then I'm watching the fighting style. And they got it right. Luke's style of no style. You can tell this man's father was a Sith Lord, and a lot of his first fights were against somebody who fought with power and aggression. Just ging, ging, ging. It was Luke of Return of the Jedi. The Luke we always had build up to, but we never got to really see. Just doing it. And even then, Luke's style made sense. he wasn't pulling the youthful Ahsoka bouncing. He wasn't pulling a frisbee Yoda. Whee! No. Come in. Nope. Yes, it was Luke's Vader moment, and I would love to see a reset more towards the Legends, where Luke that was very dark side fighting. That was, I will use my power to F your world up. He isn't an elegant. When I say natural movements, I need a trainer. Okay, pardon the dirt, because I need one long enough to be sword-like, but short enough. I will be doing a review on this later. It's by Cold Steel. But, okay, let me get it locked in there. Okay. It is, if you hold out a stick and you try to pull it up, this is not a natural motion with a sword. Kicks are natural. If you don't know how to use a knife, a stab down is natural. Hitting with a stick, this is natural. If you give any primate that can hold a stick by one end, they're going to take it and they're going to use the body mechanics. Oh, I got a ping. Let me see. Sorry, it went to sleep. No, that is... Sorry. Boom, boom, boom. Gotta answer this live. Anyway. That's really weird. Oh, that's because it wasn't in the right place. Jeez. But sorry about that, guys. I'm going to be getting a lot of messages that I'm going to have to ignore, but I keep this up for my other viewers. Yeah, that was Luke's Vader moment, and Luke fights like Vader. And guess what? He should. When you train to oppose somebody real hard, and you're going to find this when you have groups of people who have sparred together in any martial art over time, you develop specific habits that move and counter move. Further, people of similar body type, body motion, your range of motion, and style fight similar. That's how it should be. Plus, guys, Luke has always been a bit on the gray side. That's part of what makes him interesting. At least through like Legends Luke. This is important because even Luke is at his prime. He is fighting as a young, experienced man. But there's still there was an air of showmanship to it. And that's dark side. That's a heavy... it's not just striking powerfully and not just using broad, often gross body movements that big muscle groups. Think Krav Maga. Big groups not fine. And I will put a caveat with Count Dooku elsewhere for that because Dooku's a whole different universe. But the dark side for powers. I'm hammer, bam, bam. But Luke hit in a way to project fear, and I found it fascinating because it wasn't just that he went through killing droids. I mean, he went through, but it was showy. And now the obviously, well, yes, as fans, we want to see that. We want to see a good showy bout, but there needs to be a reason, and the reason I think was Luke was using his chosen style to project fear onto Moff Gideon. Because if Luke was the Jedi he should have been at that point, he knew he didn't have to look up where Grogu was. And he doesn't. He honestly, we don't know how much of that. The message that was sent out was just a help. How much of it was just brain connect? One sec. Brain connect between Luke and Grogu. So Luke, who has obvious known ties to Vader, or to Yoda, felt this kid. So he's got his own levels of nostalgia for his lost swordmaster going. And he was coming to put some stuff down. And if you look at the way the fight went, it built dark side momentum. Dark side momentum? Absolutely. He came through, and at first it was slash force, slash stab, slash decapitation, block. And by the time he gets to the last one, it's just like that crunch at the end was totally unnecessary. Luke could have just been like, die, dodge, die, dodge, die, dodge, die, dodge, oh, dodge, die, and just bing. He could have cut through in a straight line, probably. No, he played with his food a bit. Because while Grogu was watching, Gideon was watching. Lightsaber and melee combat. I mean, from the gritty MMA stuff with Cara Dune to the surprisingly elegant, incredibly samurai/western Ahsoka match with the spear. Wow. How gritty and kind of ugly Mando working the spear was. Efficient but ugly. Then Luke. Luke came through as a literal force, capital F. And he left it as a message. And I would not be surprised if the footage of Luke cutting through the top secret, baddest of the bad Dark Troopers, which, boy, as an old Battlefront player, that just hits right here. It told a message. It told a story. And and I'm talking to my author friends right now, and martial artists, if you have to understand, your mental attitude affects how you fight. When you write about it, it's going. Guys, it is going to move you. It's going to move your friends. How your mood greatly affects not just your efficiency, but your style, your presence. There's an auric nature to it that, anime tends to make this great big showy scene, but that's so that they can transfer it to a media. But murderous intent is a real thing. Now, what's scary is how calm Luke was when he came through that door. Now, I don't know. There's some talk that, Moff Gideon was hidden from view like that would hide him from Luke. The reason he didn't die then is Luke has his priorities in the narrowest order. And I'll say this, thank everybody in the Star Wars universe needs to thank all that's holy that Luke was the one to get issued the lightsaber /first. And not, politics and stuff. Because if Leia had been the one to get the training first, the one to harness her power, especially post Alderaan. Leia is every bit the epitome of a Slytherin from Harry Potter. And her fighting style should be brutal and elegant and refined. And it's possible to be brutal and elegant at the same time. It's where precision and intent come together. It's a minimalist type of elegance, and it's one of my favorites. I've never been one for grandiose, filigreed, excessive flourishes and stuff. It's funny because as much of a fencer as I am at heart, that persona is fun. But when you get down to doing the job, you do the job. And it's interesting. And the fact that they were willing, like the original trilogy, is that it was scripted. It's an arc. Like Babylon 5, that it has a very strong sense of Ben. Okay? It doesn't feel like some author just dropped a character in and another author came in and it just had them eliminated. E.g. Snoke. Possibly Star Wars' most useless villain. And an utter disappointment. Fighting is a language. It is dialogue. Go watch, if you want to talk about the mentality of fighting from that, really go look up Doug Marcaida. Yeah, the eat will kill guy. Philosopher and a student of violence, and understands the line between sparring, martial arts, violence, harming people, taking lives. It's all very different and all interconnected. And the mentality, it's a diverse thing to discuss. And anybody who isn't discussing it is not bearing, in my opinion, fairness to the art. I could take something like this that I'll probably be reviewing. I could show you the simplest, fastest way to make this go. Okay? Give you 2 or 3 grips, Left hand, sorry. We'll go left for a while because my right hand says no. Different grips, different styles of operating at stances, etc. I can make how to make this cut things. We could also, how to make it cut vegetables, how to rend a steak, how to carve a turkey. All very simple, similar to a different context. But you have to understand the context if you're going to understand why it's being used, what it's for, what about that we can learn now, and how to convey it both as authors and as martial artists ourselves. There's an analysis and there's a language, what the style says about the person, what the tools they select says about the person, what they make when they don't have access to the tools, and how it converts what it says about the person. It is not enough to merely discuss the mechanics, There has to be, in part, as a karmic balance, and the spirit and the nature. Sorry. Oh. If we don't understand that, we're missing something. It's I have a friend who concealed carries everywhere. This man does not leave his bedroom without packing. As in, literally, I've been at his house, crashed over a party, gets up, and he's going to the bathroom, and he's got his in-house Glock coming with him to the body. That's just the way it is. But anywhere, whenever he leaves the house with a firearm, he carries a knife because that's also a tool, not just a weapon, and he carries a med kit with a tourniquet and blood stop, the little powder stuff. I can't think of the word right. But and when he asks him, he goes, to defend myself. This is so I can try to patch that hole up if I get the opportunity. That's a balance, guys. You don't get the capacity for that balance without learning to think in those terms, understanding the realities of how the martial arts affect you. Now, yes, I can and I will spend hours pontificating about this sword versus that sword, this style versus that style. But we need to take a moment. And if enduring through 2020 taught us anything, it is that the vast majority of people are in need of some serious self-evaluation. I mean, like, people really need to stop and sit in front of a mirror and look at what's going on here. And I'm not talking aesthetics. I mean, yeah, aesthetics are a thing. I'm kind of almost rocking a hawk right now because my hair is being argumentative. But what we are, who we are, why we are. And that needs to be discussed. It's important. Now, I love watching like the Olympics or a good bout. Watching real professionals push themselves in the name of spirit. And I am intrigued when I get to see videos of professionals who've had to use it in self-defense or actual combat, even though the wounds anyone endures hurt me to an extent. That's just what I am. Understanding the mechanics and watching how people behave, it's telling and it's fascinating. And it's really good, guys, because it dispels myths. There are people who I know who are in not much better physical shape than I am, and or minorly lacking some of the nerfing. I'm not going to drop his name because it's not the most flattering story. We were at a VFW hall. It was after a practice, I was going in for Mountain Dew. He was going in for Tullamore Dew. It was that kind of front. And one of the gentlemen is yelling rather drunkenly, I'm going to go choke him out. What? I'm going to armbar him and choke him out. The hand of logic descends on this boy, on his shoulder. And I say, you trying to get killed? He stops. He looks, what do you mean? One, that bartender's been here a long time. She can handle herself. Two, you're going to die. And he goes, what? You're going to get shot. And I don't want to get shot in the crossfire, so please don't. And he looks at me. He goes, but this is very, very likely armed. Legality be danged. They are likely armed. It is the nature of someone who survived combat. Through my observations, I am not a veteran. I am a short, fat civilian, and I am against stolen valor. Stolen armor is a whole different thing, but stolen valor. My buddy said, okay, here's what's going to happen. If you grab hold of that guy and borrow one arm, the other arms can go up, pull that 38 that's printing in his pocket out, put it against your kidney behind you, about 45-degree angle down, and blow that part of you away. Because you're fat, you might just get shot in the dick. And that is the least of the worries. Because as soon as that happens, Gary, the guy in the back corner, who every time somebody comes in, his foot goes on the brace of the table till they settle down and comes off, He's going to kick that table down. He's going to pull the 45 he's got holstered. He's going to start blowing anything away that moves. The other guy just has a knife. I don't want to be close enough to find out why. And he's looking at me. In that situation, we had 7 possible combatants because I'm sure she had a shotgun on her thing. A couple other people, anyway. And you had to be aware of the equipment, behavior, and intentions of everyone in that room. And he walked in with the, I've got more, I've been doing some MMA, 2 or 3 MMA classes under my belt. And he did not assess his situation. You can be the baddest mofo in your pond. You get out of the ocean and you're going to find a bigger fish. And it's going to find you. So the best thing for that is to be able to, we have to improve. Okay. Those who pursue any art are called to improve. I draw, well, less than I used to, but I have to work at it. I have to study. I have to be better at it. Oh, great show. Okay. Good night, Joe. I didn't expect people to stay on late. Hope it's not too rambly, but we have to improve our art. Now, we are in a period of time where it's very hard to find literal sparring partners. And that's where all this is coming. The Star Wars conversation thing is coming to an understanding of, as we age, if we are intelligent, we get better aware of our own capabilities. As my father so often said, a man has got to know his limitations. Now, I will say in part to transcend them, but what this period of 2021 is going to be about. This is a time, as martial artists, between now and whenever the lockdowns get fully lifted and the shots are in the arms and people can get together again, we can train, we can assess where we really are and move forward. We can better equip ourselves with skills and equipment. We can improve our skills, improve our understanding of our skills. This is where we're going to be gearing towards at least the early 2021. Gotta get used to saying 2021. Woo! So we're going to do that. And it's awesome because as you age, you know what you can do and you can't do and what you need to do. And then you don't do anything else. You get the job done. And that is awesome. Awesome. Whoop. This is why I say, guys, mirrors are cheap. If you don't have access to a full-length mirror, get one of the $8, $10 ones from Walmart, attach it to a wall where it probably won't get broken, and drill in front of it, out of reach of it, so you can see yourself. We all carry around our corporate-issued tracking devices. They have cameras. Instead of taking pictures of just your awesome cats, and I do love awesome cats, nothing wrong with that, set it up and record yourself. I'm not saying you have to share it on a YouTube platform, but record yourself and track your progress. Then look at your old video. Watch yourself do stuff and go, how would I beat me? Watch other people. Think, how would you beat them? How would you help them get better? How can they help you? Analysis, guys. They don't call fencing physical chess because it's a dumb, fast sport. That's, whoa, I got a ping. Excuse me. That's why you have to be. Oh, that's why we have to be careful. We have to pay attention. So what does that come with 2021? How can that be taught? Well, gee, if only there was somebody who's a self-proclaimed swordmaster who's willing to talk about analysis. Because if you were to grab my book, which I just had, if you were to grab my book and look to the end, oh, it slid off the back. That's why. Oh, there it is. Okay. Let me show you something, okay? I want to figure out how much I want to get the turnover. Okay. This much. Yep. This much of my book, nearly, we'll say between a quarter and a third of my book, roughly pages, wait, is that 47 to 76 is about analyzing your opponent and their equipment and how to work with it, how to work against it. If you got to figure, this is 15 years of work. If I'm willing to put a third of 15 years of work to make this a thing in it about analyzing your opponent and their styles, and by understanding these styles, understanding how you work, it must be pretty danged important. I despise when a manual's like this, well, if they are fighting in the Bolognese style, do this. And I don't like that because you then have to either know what Bolognese means as a fighting style, or equipment. There are other Venetian fighting styles, but Venetian rapier. But by putting it in those terms, you have to cross-reference things. So I put it in terms like, you can look at this and go, oh, that person is an aggressive fighter. You understand what aggressive fighter means. That you can find an aggressive fighter, the guy who comes out swinging, in boxing. You can find the sniper in boxing. Guard up, guard up. The defensive guy, it's way back. All these things, you can find these in boxing. You can find, more aggressive styles in the different martial arts, Bagua versus like Muay Thai. Very different, Wing Chun versus, I don't know, karate. It's all very different. But the attitude is what's the fastest that you can analyze. Because first you have to know, are they going to attack first or assess first? And that gives you a little wiggle room of how to deal with it. And you need to be able to pick up this fast. And you pick this. How I did this is I got very good at reading body language, expression, intent, changes in how people carry themselves. And a lot of this is universal. It doesn't matter if, it doesn't matter if you're any ethnicity, for example. A male who's lying and unsure of himself is very likely to cover his, take his stance where his hands happen to be protecting his groin. That is a sign in body language of kind of fear, a little bit of submission, a lot of deception. They're literally protecting their junk. that mentality will tell you a lot about how somebody's likely to fight. And it's never faultless. My man Sun Tzu, one of my favorite quotes from The Art of War, is when you are strong, feign weakness. When you're weak, feign strength. The idea being that if you look strong when you're weak, the enemies are less likely to attack you. And if you fake weak when you're being weak when you are actually in a strong position, it invites the enemies to attack you at a time and place and situation of your advantage. Now, one of the long-standing things, and this is where tactics and strategy start to mix. And how do you get all that? Well, we could read. Reading books like The Book of Five Rings by Musashi, or The Art of War by Sun Tzu, or Venetian Rapier. I do prefer the Tom Leone translation by Niccolo Giganti. Heck, even George Silver's Paradoxes of Defense. These will all give you perspective, even if you don't agree with it. And this is why I tend to favor the manuals that have translations versus, things like I-33, where they only are showing the best amount of plates. If you only see plates, yeah, you can learn a fighting style from plates, and you can get a good idea. But it's a bit like watching a movie with the sound off. It's different. The other thing, we have to prepare ourselves in a sort of finding overlapping systems. This is why most mixed martial artists tend to use BJJ for their groundwork, boxing or Muay Thai for boxing for their upright, their punches, and like Muay Thai for your elbows and knees. The styles that get blended together to cover everything come from that kind of a system. And that's why I like Giganti. But Fiore has some amazing things to say, especially about Buckler. Meyer has some really interesting things to say about Longsword. And I don't go into that because there are a lot of people who are much more into that than I am, and much more, that's their thing. It's like, I would love to see someone like Ryan Coker, guild member, wonderful gentleman, start a YouTube channel. He's run groups. He is a fellow swordmaster. When he came here, he wasn't a student. He was a visiting colleague. It's a very different situation. And I learned a lot from him. I hope I was able to teach or at least entertain him. That's how it's supposed to be. When John Miner comes out, or Steve Clausen, or back in the old days, my buddy Sword Sage, it was an exchange of ideas. And I have a buffet of Western martial arts that I'm looking at. Wow. Okay. Analogy time. We had Chinese food. My wife handed me chopsticks out of reflex. Now, I probably could work them today, but I couldn't work them then. And it's not that I don't know how. It's not that I haven't for years. It's that while my mind knows how, the hand. Oh, wow. The hand didn't. So, what did I do? She made a bunch of Chinese food and other things. We were having ourselves a nice little party at the house. And I looked over things that I could easily eat. the food was presented. But I knew at the moment my hand was being bad and I had, limited tools. So I picked what would work, be what I wanted, and still work with my capacities. And then when it's something that is harder, I have to decide, do you take what you want because you want it? Or do you just let it go? Because right now you just can't do it. And that takes a lot of assessment, and it's hard. But that's exactly what looking at the breadth of martial arts techniques appeals to me. But a lot of that is it's finding what works from each and spooling it all together. And that's what's going to make your style, and what's going to be most effective. There are people who will tell you, you have to do this way. Guy Windsor says this is the way to hold a sword. Guy Windsor says, this is the way. Gigante says, Fabris says, Meyer says. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work. Don't do it. But the only way you can know is if you try and you understand your capacities. And I know I took a long time to say that, but it needs to be understood. And that comes back to why old men fight different than young men. In one of the Bond books, one of James Bond books, says, don't fight a short man. He's liable to kill you. Bond in the books was far less charming than Bond in the movies. But there's truth to that. When you're young, not only can you absorb damage that you can't when you're older, you have the bravado to try. Once you get older, any damage you take is going to mess you up more than it used to. Just the act of fighting. Like, if I had to defend myself right now, from a reasonable attack, I probably could do okay. I'm fair, excluding weaponry around me, here, I'm in my study, so I'm fairly comfortable. Excluding that for reference, I could still mitigate the damage. But even if I did everything right, the motions of taking a basic serious defense would mean tomorrow I would be in pain, and the next day would be absolute agony. I know this. So what does that mean to me as a martial artist? It means I have to be selective. One of the greatest measures of all things in life is the juice worth the squeeze. So it lends itself to a minimalist approach, an efficient approach. It's I have less energy to do things, but I know exactly what I need to do. I have the experience to draw from less. And that's part of the trade-off when one loses the protection of youth, the regenerative overlap. Because you're still growing, you heal differently than when you're stable. And many of us, after 2020, have reached 2021 much older than we were in 2019. And 2019 was a rough year too. We lose sight of that with the severity of 2020. So what do? First off, we breathe. We center, okay? Everything needs to pull back in because the serenity that needs to be sought. Right now, there is so much beyond your control. Remember when I talk about melee combat? I talk about fighting against multiple opponents and having concentric rings of control around you. That as long as you're not dealing with projectile weapons, and I will put that caveat because the game gets very different when projectile weapons are introduced. You have to control the space within your reach. Then the space within the reach and the band of attack of your weapon. Then the band of attack of your weapon and a step. Then a lunge. And you have to be able to kind of build this out. As you're moving around, you're controlling the space and you're prioritizing the neutralization of threats, either through escape or violence. And that's where you have to assign priority, e.g., our current situation. There is a pandemic. It is dangerous. It is deadly. It is underpushed in some circles and overpushed in others. But that is an overarching threat that's both out of my reach to change directly and imminently threatening. So I neutralize it the best I can, and then I move on. That's why even if I were getting jumped, in the street for something, I'd make sure I had my mask on and I'd be real careful about keeping it on. Thinking in those terms, I can't worry about what's out of reach right now. There are disasters, there are crimes, there are horrors that have happened in places all over my country and all over the world. And while I do need to be aware enough of things for a healthy level of assessment, I have to understand I can't change them by myself. It's just beyond my power. I have neither the funds nor the strength nor the popularity to change things. So I have to pull the circles in until I hit something I can change. That becomes my outer boundary, and I work my way out to that. And I can change the condition of my house. I could clean something up if there's a spill. You know what I mean? I can move around. I can do things. And that's what we do. And everything that's done builds momentum to build something else. We need to take this transition period that we are in right now, and a combination of rest and development, slow-paced upgrade. That's my personal journey this year is going to be all about a slow, cumulative upgrade. I'm going to slowly write more on some projects, get them printed, published and out, because as soon as they're out, I might get a little bit of money in. I'm going to work on more things. And everything, this study, there will come a day sometime this year where this tarp will be gone. I will have a background that I like that won't offend YouTube, and enough space where I can move and demonstrate stuff. That's part of the plan. I may get an upgraded webcam kind of thing. I'm not sure. But that, I don't need to worry about that till after I've got this place, organized and redesigned. Build. When I'm going to harp on something I harp on almost every week. It probably tires you guys. But Bruce Lee, let's be honest, the penultimate martial artists of modern history. I mean, if you name one, it would be Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, and Chuck Norris memes. But nice. But thing is, he said, "I don't fear the man who knows 10,000 kicks. I fear the man who's done one kick 10,000 times." That's a good start. What I want to postulate is, it doesn't hurt to shop around and carefully pick which kick works for you. Because I could throw a vast amount of energy trying and failing to learn a flying kick of some sort. I mean, I'm clocking at about 3.5 bones these days, and I want to be under 3 by my birthday, but I would fall and I would fail. Now, setting up a low dummy and practicing a low shin kick, that's something I could do. That's something I could do a lot. Put a little force bag, prop it up. Exactly. No flying kicks. Yeah, no flying kicks ever. And I would rather have that as a piece of that delicious meal of martial arts than I would the ornate. I don't know. The flying kicks are like that. Some of that elaborate, unpronounceable French food that's more swirly garnish that looks like it should be on the side of a 1990s RV than something I really want to eat. And I say that because we are joined by the incredibly versatile and possibly real life Elliot from Leverage, Steve Clausen. He was at times a chef, and frou food is something I think we both kind of can poke fun at. I would, no, you've given the choice of frou food and quality, say, Swedish meatballs. Yeah. And for the purpose of this conversation, my internet is unstable, and I don't know. Indeed, I would rather have the shin kick meatballs of goodness, And yes, I don't know how only in my mind could Swedish meatballs be translated into a shin kick, but like all my exes. Steve. Oh, that's beautiful, man. Beautiful. But sorry, I require caffeine. See, I'm doing good. Hand exercises. It was discussed that, Nick, you're not doing push-ups anymore. You should do your push-ups. Like, my arms are held together by elastic right now, and my nerves aren't working. Push-ups aren't happening with this much chunky monkey. But I do physical therapy style and modified exercises every day. They look goofy, but they keep me as functional as I can be. And I drill. And thank you, Steve, because I will be using a vast number of the trainers you gave me to do reviews, because people want to know what they should buy. And as I am doing that, it will be a reassessment for what works best with my guards, which is funny because the Dragon Knife, which is one of the most ludicrous trainers I think I've ever acquired, locks in surprisingly nice with my hands not working real well. So I can actually make this little knife go. I find that hilarious. Is this? Yes, this is by the same. Speaking of hilarious things, I have a new video planned that will be out soon, talking about the Blades USA Jin, the Tai Chi sword. It has evolved significantly between iterations. And I'm going to do a whole video about that evolution. Because I had the plan originally was for me to purchase the small sword, which is actually not in the room because I was using it for trying to figure something else out. Make a very minimalist, narrow rig, almost something like this, that would be easier for my hands to work around the brace, which I'm already wearing through because I am not at all subtle. But and I found out that they completely redesigned the swords, so I'm gonna have to do a new old versus new review, and I don't know if I feel comfortable cutting up the old one because the old one is a bit of a collector's item, and I don't know if the new one would work. So there's a whole lot of stuff. There's also a bunch of New Year's sales kind of orbiting around that I need to check and get out to you guys. So I'm excited about that. A lot of it's you just never say die, guys. And when I see you next, Steve, this is yours, by the way. It's a little light, but I think you'd really enjoy it. I could mail it to you, but I have less faith in the current condition of the mailing systems than I'd like. But this is based around that Aries knife you let me borrow for a moment. I need to make more copies of this and probably a heavier gauge. But since it may be, oh, you're welcome. It may be a while before I trust myself with hand tools. We're just going to have to see, touch, and go. This is definitely would do better in your hands. It is very light. I will see about upgrading the grip a little bit to give you some relative mass. The original plan was to make sides grips. The word fell off the scales essentially for this to give you a better grip because it's far too thin now. But yes, when I see you next, remind me this is your knife. And I will be finishing the fourth picture for my patrons. In that Stef Mari became a patron in 2020, so I'm working on that. Yes, I'm eating better. Yes, I'm being better. It is Friday night, New Year's Day. I'm going to have my 1 can of Mountain Dew. Because, frankly, I think you guys like me better sugared and caffeinated. But, yeah, so, Steph, if you're watching or you catch this in the rerun, going. We have, guys, wow, I'm already at the hour 25 mark. So let me take a moment to thank my Patreon members. That being Stephen Augosto. I have to say his name right because I always try to say Augusta because that's somebody I know. And yes, anyway, Cindy Kep, Brian K. Morris, and Stef Mari, and my supporters, Steve Clausen and John Miner. You guys, basically, I get a small stipend thanks to my Patreon. I save it up, and then I buy trainers or gear to review to show you, or in some cases, like will be coming later in the week, this knife will be getting a review. And I will hold it to my gold standard of small knives. How does this fare against a Cricut Minimalist? That'll be a good video. That won't be live, though. I think I'll just shoot that one old-fashioned so that I can do it whenever. Be a conversation. I want it to be me serving the community and serving my Patreon and the wonderful folks who watch. Lots of good old-fashioned tinkering, physical therapy, and inflammatories. It's just great days to be Nick. But yeah, so in the coming weeks, I will have a whole line of trainer reviews made possible by has a website put together. Oh God. I will be plugging his website, and so I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing to like I said very early in the video, while I need money, I'm not going to lie, and I can't wait for better internet, I am incredibly appreciative of the people who I support, and I only partner with people I respect, because there's too much of people just letting others do things under the guise of money, and that's not what I'm about. So yeah, as Swakhammer Metals comes online more, I will plug them. As Steve Clausen's assorted projects, which I'm this close to talking about, but I don't think I will, come to fruition, it's going to be great, and I can't wait to have links to their work that I can plug. I can plug Cindy Kep for novels, and Brian K. Morris. I might be able to get, I don't know, I have some really neat options that are coming up, but a lot of it's tenuous. So I don't announce anything until I'm 80 to 90% sure it's going down. So that's really good. I'm going to take just the briefest second while I'm here because I got a ping. And I will check to see if new is on our good friends at Purple Heart. Ooh. Excuse my stomach. I didn't even eat anything questionable, but let's see if there's anything good on there. Oh, good. The Voss shirt, Voss Lurst, Voss. Steve's going to make fun of my speech impediment trying to wrap around German. But basically, it's what hurts teaches. Was shirt. I did not get the love patch I was going to, and it didn't quite work out. If was okay, give me a second. Isolation, basically, it's what hurts teaches, or it means what is wrong. Oh well, the low end price gigs that I try to share. So we are past the holidays, so a lot of opportunities are going. I am diametrically opposed to nihilism. You know, I think nihilism and certain breeds of fatalism are philosophical cowardice and absolute sloth. Life sucks, so what does it matter? Life sucks, so we have an obligation. Now, a lot of people came through 2020, and they're hurting, and I respect that, and I empathize. We lost people. A lot of people got stressed. There's fires, events of the last 12 months or so. And what's coming up? And the trade, in part, is that my net is breaking down again. We learn from pain if we let ourselves. We learn and can grow and allow a certain kind of healthy spike to be a powerful motivator. Now, I'm not saying be stupid. There's a difference between not being a coward and being an idiot. There really is. But, just succumb and cocoon. We can take this time. We can learn. We can empower. Hard times build good men. And good men, soft men, which, not soft, we'll say weak. Because it takes a lot of strength to remain soft and not. And I believe we are progressing through a period where greed and cowardice and of brink, but I believe wholeheartedly what it means to be a person. Now, yes, I use the term men in that because that's how it was quoted. But I absolutely believe everyone, and I don't care. I don't care if you're a woman or a man or trans or non-binary, fluid. I may not know the terms. That's because I'm not always up to date. But that doesn't mean I don't respect you as a human, and we can all be better. What I don't respect is anybody who simply lets their situation, make them give up. People like that run off into people who only some, let alone disagreement. And that's how we get situations. But if we can be honest with ourselves, analyze ourselves, work and make better, we can do things. Guys, in my time, I've seen crippled people walk, truly devastated, unable to move, out of the wheelchair, walk. I've heard the sounds of somebody believed mute speaking. It took, I did it, and I respect that. Regardless of their limitations, regardless of their pain, regardless of what others might see, there's still a valor there. And it's something I aspire towards. And I'm laying quite literally and figuratively on the floor, trying to figure out how I'm going to get back up. I've been there. Heck, I've been there this week. Rock bottom is a place, in some ways, you may end up revisiting. The Gate of the Fool, it's a bitch. Pardon my French. But we all endured what 2020 threw at us. Those of us who are here. And I'm more than passing to those of us who didn't. But 2021 will throw other things at us. But we're stronger now through enduring. We may be bleeding. News and it's a lot. But we can get past it. And that's what this is going to be about. I like to under-promise and over-deliver. That's kind of my policy. But I'm going to be going back over the basics soon, and we're going to talk about adaptation. But you know what? You're going to see me do stuff, and you're going to see me do stuff with hands that tremble, with legs that. I'll probably talk supported by a crutch or a cane. My gift to adapt that, and you know what? I'm going to show that to you, or have you understand the real burdens that can come from disability, rather than maintain the image of normalcy. Because maybe if you see me, I take the word GIMP back. I've had that thrown in my face at times. I've had fat used as a weapon of assassination. And I just take them, and they're part of what I am. And that's so that you can do it. So that when you're scared that you can't because maybe you're overweight or you're injured or you're older or you have limitations. I've been saying for 20 years now, my whole being as a swordmaster has been built on the basis that everyone deserves to try and everyone can do something. I won't lie, it will hurt. There will be days. But the next day I start over. And today, a really good next day. resolution, grand, deal with your. I don't expect people to learn to become a failure. If I try and fail sincerely, if I do something, I've written, whittle out why. Whittle out, riddle out. It's funny, those two are very similar functions in my mind. Carving away what isn't to figure out what is. So, yeah, this is going to be a good year, guys. It's going to be a journey. So that when the doors open, when they do so, the people acted in spite of the despair. And that means something, guys. Folks, there is a spectrum between the first loser. You just need to figure out. Stop people thinking it isn't worth trying to figure out what winning means to you and do it. And yeah, we're going to pick up a sword. And yeah, we're going to keep our guard up. And we're going to take care of each other. And confused and thought I was going to be doing this New Year's Eve. And since it wasn't New Year's Eve, all of a sudden all the tension went away. So life is better. You might want to check the show. This is a good one, Cindy. But we're gonna, and that's what this year's going to be about. This year is going to be about moving forward, moving together, even if we're apart. This is going to be, and pardon my internet connection, but we're going to move forward big time. I'm going to be a pain in the butt here. I'm going to be a pain in the butt on Brian Kane, Joe Dog McKeel. And so product reviews, crafting, new gear, new books, new stories. 2021 is going to be me putting everything I have into using the slow momentum I spent 2020 building up. And I think you guys are going to be able to see that. And as always, I will. You guys don't understand. My patrons are just that. They are my patrons. I am an old school artist and patrons request. So if you guys have anything you want done, I'll find a way to do. And I love what I do. There's someone I know, author Michaela Jade. She contacted me, or a portion of her. Anyway, if the crud hits the fan, I at least know that anybody who's followed my channel and has any physicality you can pick a boar spear. It's said, give me a lever and a fulcrum big enough and I'll move the course of the world. Change the course of the world, something like that. It's a beautiful thing. And the course, guys, the downside is right now the course needs changing. It just does. So what? So what I'm going to say is but through strength, through combating our own fear, our own limitations. And by doing that, we can be more than we are. We can be a better version. The trick is we have to adjust our comparison. Not everyone has the same gifts. Not everyone has the same talents. Not everyone has the same relative ability. And that's okay. That's beautiful. What I want you to be is just a little bit better, a little stronger, a little more educated, a little more aware, a little more capable, a little more versed. Because this is a cumulative process. Yeah. This is a cumulative process. And guys, we're accumulating it. We are pulling in growth and strength and support, and we're making each other better. The folks who get on and chat with me are wonderful people. The people who message, even if I disagree with them, even if there's commentary, we build, we educate, and that's great. That's what I'm going to do. So, you notice how this says volume 1. As soon as I'm through the next chunk of the hybrids, my whole universe, non-fictionally, will be geared, well, portion, towards volume 2. That's what we need. We need volume 2. And that's what I'm going. I don't know if it'll be out this year. To be honest, my hunting and pecking is now really slow. I type a lot of times with my pinkies or my one finger salute fingers. And it's hard, but I'm doing it. I'm still trying. I'm still working. Because I would rather write a word a day, a sentence a day, when I can. Maybe a sentence a week, if that's what it takes, to get the message out. And milestones, guys, are 1. 1 is a value. 1 is not 0. One person can make a change. It may be a small change, a tiny change, but it's a change. And it's a cumulative change. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Yep. Cindy Kep says, Dragon, you can train it to adapt to some speech issues. And Cindy, bless you. My very elegant elven author friend. Yeah, just like, yeah, what well, we live in an era where technology is fast again, imitating magic anyway. So maybe we'll all have little robo dragons on our shoulders. Got a little butane tank to help with welding and such. Oh, that's an old picture of mine. Never mind. I'll talk about that when I'm talking artwork. But yeah. That's something. It's speaking my stories will be an adaptation that I have to work with because I realized I think creatively through a keyboard. Years of typing stories. That's why when I handwrite things, it syncs differently. It's been proven. But yeah, we need to make things better. And that's part of why I'm broadcasting today. I really thought, today was a recoup day as time comes. But every so often you have to have a recoup day. Breathing machine didn't quite work. But you start getting close and like, no, I'm doing my show. I'm doing my show, and I'm going to put my roughly 2 hours in because 2021 has to be better than 2020. And the only way to make it better is to make it better. So yes, I'm going text to speech. I need wow. Cindy kept said you are good at speaking your thoughts. Yes, there are pauses and occasional slips, but it's really pretty. I appreciate that, Cindy. I really do because For someone who is as long-winded as I am, I'm actually rather bashful about how I speak. The tone of my voice, the cadence in which I carry, my terminology. All that is stuff I'm cautious with. It's because I've gotten flack for it over the years, and I do tend to adapt to the speech patterns of my situation. But I want condensing that scope into a document's sequentially difficult. But that might be one of my many projects I want to work on this year. So I will attempt, because you know what, because I did just get done saying whatever my patrons ask, I will try to do with the best of my power. So I will attempt to do a document, at least rough draft, entirely through Dragon or some other speech to text program. I will do that because you told me to. Because she is both a friend, an inspiration, and one of my patrons. So, by the way, www.ckoepp.com for author Cindy Kep's wonderful works and goodies. And I plug her stuff because I choose to. Not because so. Oh, I'm high class. Anyway, but we're getting near the end of my 2-hour mark and about the end of my ability to do what. But I want to thank Stef Mari for the donation of this little dagger, which will be. I want to thank, of course, Cindy Kep for every week. Yes, Word does have a built-in speech to text. So does Google. It's a case of I'll have to get my headphone jack plugged in to get it to pick up what I need to, but that's okay. I'm going to try that. Because like I said, I will at least try to tell a story. Oh, it truly, I don't know if you guys know this, because Cindy's relatively new, and she has yet to see me in the full glory of Nick at a practice, but helping somebody with physical limitations either get better equipment or just improve, be able to do something maybe they can't, to help folks. And a little bit of how I pay my karmic debt back to this world and to the art that's given me so much. So it really is a pleasure to help support anything I can do. It's my calling. So I've thanked I hate to say it, but it's over 2 hours. So welcome to 2021. I hope it continues to improve. Stay safe, stay smart, be kind, and as